All right, what if we told you that over the last 100 years, more Christians have been targeted for their faith and killed than at any other time in the history of Christianity? Think about that. While Democrats and Queers for Palestine block traffic over the fake Palestinian genocide, there is an actual genocide happening in Nigeria, Africa, that nobody wants to talk about and the media continue to ignore, and that's happening because it's happening to Christians. Since 2009, 19,000 churches have been burned to the ground there. Over 125,000 Christians have been murdered in cold blood. Men, women, kidnapped, raped, children executed, homes and churches destroyed.
On this very day, 210 persons were slaughtered in one night, in less than 24 hours.
The video from the Father's Day massacre includes graphic images of people being burned alive, families attacked, and homes destroyed in Yelawata, Nigeria.
Christians are being exterminated in Nigeria by Islamic terrorists to the point where Christianity will not exist there if this isn't stopped.
Friday night, I was leaving my house. See my house there. I come here, they shoot gun. Later, they come, they break this house where my brother is sleeping here with his children. Thereby, they come, they kill people. They were breaking the house. Say, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar.
The left love to talk about the oppression of blacks here in America, but oddly, they don't seem to care about the mass murder of black Christians. And while they continue to ignore this story, mass graves continue to be filled.
Just 2 months ago, we had an incident wherein more than 27 Christians were slaughtered just 15 miles west of Jos, the capital of Plateau State. And of course, that population included 11 children below the ages of 7.
According to the left, Christians are the oppressors as this holy war against Christians continues all over the world and here in America. Christians and Catholics were called domestic terrorists and investigated by the Biden DOJ and the FBI. Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his faith and his beliefs, and the left cheered it on. They did so this weekend. None of this is a coincidence, and it's not being covered for a reason. We're going to stop that tonight. Joining us now for more on what's happening in Nigeria, Africa, South Carolina, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, appreciate you being here. Why doesn't anyone care about this story, and why do you think it's not getting covered by the media here?
Well, first of all, I want to say in God we trust, right? That is more American than anything else, that we have our Christian faith. We should profess our Christian faith. We should protect the Christian faith here and around the world. But, you know, if you ask the mainstream media, they'll tell you that it's propaganda, that it's lies. Even the special senior assistant to the president of Nigeria said the other day that Bill Maher bringing this up was propaganda, basically. It's true, it's happening, and I would not recommend your viewers go and watch those videos. They are horrific. We're talking about over 100,000 Christians over the last 2 decades that have been maimed, murdered, destroyed. Over 5 million Christians in Nigeria have had to flee their homes. This is real. This is happening. And to deny it is just simply a lie. And I think it's because the left and Democrats, they don't love America. They don't love our values here in America. They don't like people who are Christian. They don't like people who are spiritual like we do. I would argue they also don't like Jews, by the way, with their anti-Semitic behavior. But this is real, and it is happening. It is the truth. And I want to thank Bill Maher for bringing it up. He's an atheist, and he knows what's happening, and he's talking about it, too.
Let me play you, I want to play you a soundbite from President Trump's senior envoy to Africa. And this was just interesting to us. He almost downplayed, I'm being told we don't have that soundbite, but I can paraphrase. Okay. Essentially, he downplayed what's happening there. And I'm wondering, what your reaction to that is. And I'm wondering if you've had any conversations with anyone at the White House about this, because I think we're at this point where Americans are sort of sick and tired of the foreign entanglements, but we're dealing with something in Nigeria that needs to be stopped. And it might be Donald Trump. He might be the only person on the planet that can actually have an impact on what's going on there.
For the man who brought peace to the Middle East, I believe that Donald Trump is the only person that could bring peace in Africa or peace in Nigeria. Donald Trump has ended more wars than any president in my lifetime in modern history. In fact, I can't think of anybody else that's done more to bring peace around the world. But also it's about telling the truth. And I think people are really fed up with the propaganda, with the lies. You can't take anything that these people say as fact. And if it's genocide of Jews, genocide of Christians, genocide of any particular person or people, it's wrong and it needs to end. But in order to stop it, in order to address it, we have to acknowledge that the problem actually exists. And I believe Donald Trump is the only person that can do that.
Yeah. Have you had any conversations with anybody at the White House about this?
I have not had conversations about it yet. We're in a government shutdown. I know the president is working hard. I'm not going to speak for him, but he's working hard with the Senate and House leadership to deliver for the American people. He just found money to pay our troops last week because they were going to miss their paychecks on October 15th. So by the way, to my colleagues in Congress, I hope you're not getting a paycheck on November 1st, because if our troops aren't getting paid, we can't get paid either. We should not.
I want to ask you about that, Congresswoman. Let me just play you a little bit of your conversation with Bill Maher, who of all people seems to be aware of what's happening in Africa.
If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
All right. I'm just wondering, where's the United Nations with something like this? Like, I thought that was the whole point, that we had this United Nations organization at this point. I don't know why they exist. I don't know what they do.
When are we going to pull out of? When are we going to pull out of the United Nations? I mean, what we've seen, that they've funded terrorism, they've hired terrorists, also, by the way, NATO too. But look, I mean, Bill Maher speaks the truth as he sees it, and he gets his news sources, it sounds like, from all different political media and mainstream media and all across the spectrum. And he's literally the only one that's talking about this. Everyone else is called a liar. He was called a liar. I was called disinformation, etc. But he's speaking the truth, and people need to hear it. And Christians around the world need to hear it. And offer support to the White House if they're going to engage, but also call out the lies. I think that's what's so important here. Yeah. You have a person who's close to the president of Nigeria, telling people off if they don't agree with the Nigerian message on what this is. And I'm sure that there are Muslim people that are also being murdered. But what we know is that the genocide of Christians is over 100,000 and counting. When another issue that we had, another genocide, was in Syria. A few weeks ago, we had the Prime Minister or President of Syria in New York for a UN meeting, and they were burning Christian villages down. Far worse than what's been going on in Gaza, and the left won't protest.
Yeah, we didn't hear a lot about that.
Jews, they're not going to protest that.
We didn't hear a lot about that at the United Nations. And for years, post-George Floyd, we were told that Black Lives Matter. Evidently, they only matter here in the U.S., and they only matter if they aren't Christian. That's the message the media is sending the public. By not covering this story, they are covering it up. We're not going to do that. You're not going to do that, Congresswoman. I've just got 10 seconds. Does the shutdown end this week?
No.
Okay. Wow. It would become the longest in history if it continues on. Appreciate you being with us. Nancy Mace, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.